Well, good morning to Kathleen and Reuben. Nice to have us all together this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good
Of
morning.
course, of
Great to be
course.
here.
By way of a formal introduction, we have Reuben Salazar and myself from iFinance Mortgage. But most importantly, we have our special guest this morning, Kathleen Bench from C21 Judge Fite. So welcome, Kathleen. Glad to have you with
Thank,
us.
thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I understand that you've had some weather out there,
Oh,
and
yes, it is raining cats and dogs, as they say in Texas. And but we love to get our moisture because we go usually in a drought most of the time. So
there's
it is a good day.
I just get it all
good,
at one shot.
right? We had some, as we were talking about earlier, right here in California. We're not used to all of that coming at one time, but big thunderheads and all this stuff. And man, I thought I was visiting Reuben for a moment. Well, once again, glad to have you with us. And part of the theme of our podcast is the mindset of a champion. What sets you apart? And really, the purpose of this podcast that Reuben and I do together is to showcase you, to see what's going on in your market, get to know you a little bit better so that we can send you referrals. And at the end of the podcast, we put it all over our social medias, we tag you, all of that stuff. And when a referral opportunity comes up, and they do, because we purchase leads as well, we gladly share with the potential buyer the podcast and saying, this is why you need to work with Kathleen. Listen to her own words. This is what she does a little bit differently that really makes all the difference of why you can trust her. So that's part of the purpose of the podcast, and we wanted to share that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about how and when you got into real estate.
So actually, I didn't get into real estate until the end of 2020, the first of 2021. Previously, I was a corporate QA director for Quest Diagnostics all over the
Oh, yeah.
country and internationally. And I knew that it was probably time I needed to find my next chapter. And so I had taken real estate classes in the 90s and decided that wasn't for me. So I decided I can do this, and I did them online, and it worked out really well. And Century 21 was the first company to call me. And from that moment on, it felt like a family, and it felt like home. And Judge Fite, it was not a judge. He actually, that was his name. And when I was a young girl, I lived in the area where he had his business. And so I knew the name, I knew the company, I'd heard of him, I'd seen him before. But anyhow, I took that company. So that was really how I got into real estate. And I was a dual career for the first year in 2021. That was very hard, but I was able to, I want to say, not have a whole lot of listings in the beginning, but I did a pivoting to leases. And I did, most of my business was leases. And you know
Hmm.
what the good thing about that was is that I learned to show houses, learned how to
Hmm.
talk to people one on one, learn and a lease is very difficult when it comes to you've got to get these people qualified. You have to, to buy, not to buy, but to lease a home. So anyhow, that gave me a lot of education personally. So that's how I really got started and built my business on that because once you're a lease person, you will turn around and buy something within 2 years. And so now it's been wonderful for me because of
That's
that.
fantastic. Wow. What a start. And you could have picked um an easier time period to jump into all this, but you know, no, I'll pick a pandemic. That's no,
Yeah, no, but
that's
seriously, I mean, it
amazing.
was, you had a lot to do, nothing to do. I mean, well, you had to work, but it was something that, I had to think for the future, so I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
amazing.
great. I love that because Kathleen, I know that when most people talk about leases and you're a realtor, they run as fast as they can away from them. And you've ran towards them, but you're doing it for the better good because you know that you're going to be able to help someone down the road. So I think that's a great approach that you've done. And you've been pretty successful at that, haven't you?
I have. So usually what'll happen is I've had several that I have been able to put them in a home. I have, and then I will get referrals from somebody that I leased a home to, and then they will refer their friends. And from that, I have people that I've put in homes that way. So it's a relationship that you build. And I think that's the important part of it. Treat them like they're your family.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a relationship business, and the more relationships you have, the better you treat people. You're going to get those referrals, which I always say is the least expensive marketing tool you have,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yet it's the best one. So
Absolutely.
can you tell us a little bit about the what the market is like right now for you?
So for me, the market in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I do all of it. I will drive to Dallas. I'm a Dallas girl. I was born and raised in Dallas, and moved to the Keller area, right, I guess maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago, and learning Tarrant County. And I'm glad that I did. I'm very happy there. But right now, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is very affordable, number one. It is a buyer's market, and there is a lot of inventory. I think there's 4.9 months of inventory, which is quite a bit, and it's
Yeah.
affordable. I mean, you're affordable at 300,000 to 399. That 27% of buyers should buy in that area. It is really a great market in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I don't think we've ever seen it slip. And for me, it's been great too because I've been able to get people in affordable homes. And that's what my first time home buyers want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
incredible. It sounds like just hearing you talk, you have so much knowledge, not only being homegrown there, but the ability to help others see what's going on. And that's really what most
Mhm.
people are going on Zillow, they're going on the internet, they're doing a lot of their own research. Are you finding that's the case as well?
Oh, absolutely. With first time home buyers, it's all they want to send me what they want to look at. And usually it's too good to be true. And I educate them on, let's look at it. And pictures unfortunately can not always represent the house the way they are seeing it through a picture. And so when we go in and we talk about it, and they look at the possibilities, or do you really want to have to put this much work? Are you a DIYer? And if you're not,
Right.
this is not the home for you. But they have to make that decision on their own. And I wouldn't put somebody, a new person in a home that's never bought a home before, in something I wouldn't put my own family in. And I know that's probably kind of a silly process, but that's
No.
how I roll.
Absolutely. That's wise. Why would you encourage somebody else to do something that either you wouldn't do or your own
Yeah,
family wouldn't do, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true care. That's true care and concern for their best interest. And that's what keeps you successful. And that's really, really wonderful that you shared that. I do have kind of a different question. We talked about the pandemic a little bit and your starting
Mhm.
point kind of into the real estate field. And we know that all of us were affected, whether
Mhm.
it directly affected us and our business. I have friends, and I'm sure both of you do too, that were greatly impacted with their business. In fact, they lost their business. They had to shut their business down,
Yeah.
if not for a time period. And then other businesses were able to flourish actually during this time. But no matter what our situation was during that time, what pivots and adjustments have you had to make uh, to stay successful since the pandemic time and even now?
Well, basically, during the pandemic time was just to be patient, that you couldn't show a home,
Mm.
or show a lease. you had to do it virtually. So that made it a little bit harder, right? And now the concern now is usually the interest rates. And that is,
Yeah.
having to pivot to tell people, go ahead and buy the home. It may be at 6.5%, but you can always refinance. And what I always tell my first time home buyers is, you know, ask about the different programs they have, at your lender, that you pick. And, and I always, encourage them to, with three, I always say you can pick three. I'll give you three names. You pick the one that you like more. And they'll always, not always, they will go with somebody they found online. And I think
Mhm.
to myself, are you sure? And if they're sure, I'm fine with it. I mean, I can't steer them one way or the other. But that's been the hardest part for now is the fluctuating interest rates, and to get them into something that's important to me.
Yeah, I can totally see that. That's and there's a phrase that says date the rate, marry the
Yeah,
home,
yeah,
right? And that's what Reuben and I spend a lot of time with, and also being able to understand the market, understand why and when the feds do what they
yeah,
do to
yeah,
affect the rates. We spend a lot of time educating not only our realtor partners, but also, potential buyers as to what are the trigger points? What are the feds looking at to affect the rates? And one of the, key points in there has to do with inflation, unemployment, the 10-year treasury bond. All of these factors are important to the feds, whether they're going to stay stable with the rates or they realize there's a drop that needs to happen. But what a lot of people don't realize is that at the very announcement in September, let's say, when we had kind of our first drop there, when they announced that they were going to do something maybe in the next month or so, enough, it's during that time period where the
yeah.
market shifts. The time that they actually come out and say, we are dropping the rates 0.25 today, the market's already corrected.
Oh
So
yeah,
those that missed the boat, it's probably it's minuscule. 0.25 was not a big deal. I mean, it's great because the mindset it says, "Ooh, rates are low, let's go shopping." It's
yeah.
great for us, but in the reality of things, we have to educate people to know when to buy. And people ask Ruben and I all the time, probably yourself, Kathleen, is when's the best time to buy? And I say, when you're financially ready.
Yeah, that's what I've had to do with one of my clients that some things didn't work out for them and they did not have the finances to do it. But finally, after cultivating the relationship for 2 years, they decided, okay, well, we are going to buy. And and it was during that little dip we just had, and then of course it's gone back up a little bit, but anyhow we get them there and we can't get them financed, and I think that was a disappointment to
Mm,
them,
yeah,
disappointment to all of them, all of us. But that's one of those things that you want to say, okay, you can do this. And you know what else I found interesting? I do a lot of open houses because that's a good way to get
good.
new. And also what happens there is that I can talk to folks and say, hey, if you don't have a realtor, I'll be more than glad to help you. And I have gotten two listings or two buyers from that. And so that's been very successful. But I saw the interest in open houses go down. Now they're going back up where you're seeing, maybe 10 couples or 30 couples come in, not like in the 2.5% and 3%,
Right.
but I'm seeing more people out there and they're ready to buy now. And I think that they realize that the rates, I lived through 15% interest, okay?
That's right.
This is great. 6% and you're a brand new home buyer. This is really a good time to buy.
I love that you said that. My dad, I bring that up too. Historically, my dad purchased his house in not Oceanside, I think it was Murrieta, Temecula area. It was 16%, So I try to relate that to buyers now. I'm like, you're in a really great position. So
That's
it's
right.
good that you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly, it's really affordability. If someone can afford it, then that's the most important part. And
Yep.
the market's kind of forward looking. So really it's a psychology and people listening to, CNN, constant negative news, stuff like
Yeah.
that, that's always putting, oh, the market's terrible or this or that. But really it's getting back to what John and we all love to do is really it's educating them, having them understand. And many times the market's forward looking. So that's why sometimes the rate's actually cooked in by the time they drop it. So
Yeah.
it's just understanding and then running numbers for them. A friend of mine says, do the numbers, and the numbers will tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And when you can put the numbers down, and if someone can afford it, then that really helps them. So a lot of it is psychology of what's going on in the world and what's going on locally and so forth. And we are very fortunate here in the DFW area that homes are more affordable than any other place. Like when you look at California, it is really tough to get into the market there, where here we
Yeah.
can get into the market and there's a lot of programs. So Kathleen, one thing I want to ask you is, the podcast is called Mindset of a Champion. So what do you do in your daily routine that creates that mindset of a champion that you have? Because you're very successful and most successful people have that mindset.
So what I do every morning when I get up, I first go to my email, which they tell you don't go looking at your email. Well, that's a truth. That's a true statement, but I do. That's just the way I do things. And then what I will do is work on my social media. I've been doing a lot of videos and getting out there and pushing my social media. And so I'm trying to get my face out there because people want to hear me talk, which is I can't believe, and which is great. And I get more views that way, and people know I'm out there. Then I do write note cards, 3 a day. That's what I do, Monday through Friday. I don't do Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's really my family day. Sunday's my day to worship. So I feel like Monday through Friday. I do it consistently. I have a pretty good sphere of influence. And so I just keep in touch with them. If it's just to say, hi, how are you? Do you have any questions? Can I do anything for you? I don't believe I've told you also that I do a lot of seniors. I have a specialty in senior real estate specialist.
Oh,
And
excellent.
and those folks, of course, they are either retiring, moving closer to their family and grandchildren, and it is a big stress thing for them to sell their home that they've lived in for 30, 40 years
Hmm.
and confined it now to a smaller house. So, I keep in touch with them. And I've had some good friends made out of it. So yeah, I have a system. That's my early morning system. I am better early in the morning. By 3 o'clock, not so much.
I
So my
know.
morning is when I'm the most productive and can get out there and talk to people, pick up the phone. I do a lot of texting because people like to text. What can I say? You do what you do. I do video text. Those have been very successful.
Love it.
And I just, so they can see my face. I can sit, and it works for me. I get a lot of response to it. They may not want anything, but I get a response. So I keep in front of them. So that's what I
Well,
do.
that's great. The video texting, I do that too, and I find that it works really good. Part of it is, if they see you, a text doesn't really show sincerity, but when you're just texting someone, and I know you do that, and you just say, "Hey, I'm just thinking of you, just and want to say hi," that really works good. And going back to the old-fashioned stuff, like what you're talking about, which is just a handwritten note, just saying hi to someone. And it shows that you care. It really does. And you've taken that time to do that. So that's awesome that you're able to do that. And I know that your clients probably really appreciate that.
I think they do, and they'll remember me. That's how I look at it, and I want to help serve them. I mean, if they need a resource for like I don't know, home foundations, if they need something for tree trimming, I can get that person for them, or I can suggest somebody.
One-stop shop.
That's right.
That's the way it really needs to be, and it is, in these days. People want to, excuse me, people want to be able to go to
Mhm.
one person and get everything they need you know, all the answers, all the resources, all of that. Excuse me. You mentioned something that really resonated with me too, was is the handwritten notes.
Mhm.
And there was a survey that was produced, oh, I think it was a few years ago actually, but 92% of the nation was more inclined to read and not throw away a handwritten note over
Uh-huh.
emails and everything else they get barraged with.
Yeah.
So it's a very effective tool that I think a lot of agents, a lot of lenders are not taking advantage of, to that personal touch, something coming in the mail to their home. And that's really, really job well done. And then you mentioned, you know, being responsive, answering your calls, you're sending a text, following up, follow through. Those are
Yep.
such, givens. The three of us would say, well, duh, who doesn't do that? The majority.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
majority of people we speak to, and I'm talking to, I don't know, 10 to 20 realtors per day, if not more. And most of them are, I would say, always tell me, oh yeah, I think I could do a little bit better on, returning my text. Sometimes, it's a few hours, or I go, a few hours that
Yeah,
they
that's
could
too long.
they could be gone, they could be gone by that time. Time kills deals.
Yep.
Speed solves everything. you know and so it's really refreshing to hear your approach and your personal one-to-one. I want people to see my face. I want to, like we're doing now. We could have did
Yeah.
this over the phone and did an audio podcast. Well, that's no fun.
That's right.
It's nice to see our faces,
Yeah.
and our responses to things. So that's wonderful. And like Reuben was saying, that's really having the mindset of a champion. You're doing the things that champions do, and that's
Mhm.
why you're so successful. And I love the fact that you have a little niche with the senior community as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
And we too have that. In fact, we help them when the time is right and if the situation is warranted. With reverse mortgages, those
Mhm.
are very popular right now because a lot of our dear seniors are coming up on healthcare needs, and
Mhm.
they want to stay in their own home, rightly so, but in-house care now becomes a factor, and a huge expense. And so
Yeah.
sometimes we'll help them kind of figure out the right path. Reverse isn't for everybody, but it can, like it helped my grandma tremendously. It was
Mhm.
exactly what she needed at the
What she
time.
needed.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but to help a senior, oh, what a great feeling that is.
It is. It is. And my heart goes out to, and most of the seniors have been senior women, couples that have health issues that needed to be next to their family, and to get them there, that couple, to get them here because he was in last stages of renal cancer. And
Hmm.
so she made it. I mean, we made it happen in a month, and which was a
Wow.
miracle. Sold her house in Austin, and then moved her here down to Tarrant County area. So it was a miracle.
Yeah. They do happen. And what I love about this, Kathleen, is that you're creating a relationship with your senior clients. One of the things that happens to seniors is they get taken advantage of. People steal money from them and do terrible
Yeah.
things. And it's really sad to see, but you creating this relationship, now you have someone that they know they can trust. And that's really makes it terrific because you're there protecting them. And I think that that's one of the things that I can see that you do, and you have that trust built up. So now, if they have friends also in the same condition or have issues that are similar, now they have someone that they can go, "Hey, look, I know Kathleen, I trust her, so I know you can."
Well, I hope so, and I feel like I can. They trust me, and we talk. I pick up the phone and call them all the time to see how they are, make sure. And I'll get, well, I need a handyman to come fix a door. I've got one
Mhm.
for you. And so I send them over, and it's usually somebody that's trustworthy, and then they go, oh, we love them, you know. So now they've got a handyman forever.
Yep, you're a connector.
That's
That's awesome.
that's wonderful. Absolutely. And that's, what's the phrase? Oh, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
all of our knowledge is wonderful to share, but when they need you, my door's not shutting. Well, that's important to them. And you fix that problem for them.
Yeah.
What a wonderful way to just solidify that relationship with them. That's wonderful. Well, we have one last question for you, because we know
Okay.
you're busy and the mornings are your productive time. So we're going to get
That's
you back
right.
out there. Yeah. What advice would you have to offer others who perhaps are either new to the real estate business as an agent, or perhaps they've been in there for quite a while, but maybe they're feeling a little stagnant and they're not
Mhm.
seeing as much success as they would like. So, what advice would you have to help people stay successful as we move into the new year?
Well, first off, I think it's good to look at your sphere of influence, make sure it's still relevant. I think that's a really important thing because a lot of people change or leave or, you know, and you need to look at that. The second thing is to be sure you're at the right realtor. I mean, you know, that may be an issue that you're not getting help. Also is continuing education. Our company is so good about giving us continuing education for free, and that works out really well. I think I've taken the ninja selling class twice now. I learn something every time I do that, and it's very motivating to me. And I think that's just don't give up. Don't give up. Be
Hmm.
consistent with what you do. I think that's an important trait. Um, and focus. You've got to focus on it. You can't make it a part-time job. And would go to the office. You wouldn't believe the leads you can get off of being on the phones. Because tomorrow I'm going to be on the phones for 2 shifts just because I want to, because people start looking at houses on Thursday afternoon and
Yep.
Friday, and it's a holiday, so they got a long holiday weekend and do open houses. I, it's just a good way to make a business for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. I was talking to a realtor just the other day, and they were telling me, I asked them what they do to help grow their business. And the one thing they didn't mention was open houses, right? And so I circled back to that. I says, oh, wow, that's fantastic. I says, how do you feel about doing open houses? Oh, I never do those. That's a waste of my time. That, and I'm thinking to myself, hmm, how could that be a waste of your time unless you're not doing it right? By
Yeah.
sitting in there, not engaging with people, not talking to the surrounding area maybe an hour or so before, handing out flyers. Hey, choose your neighbor, come visit my open house. If you're not doing it right, you're not going to enjoy it. And I could tell you do it right.
Oh,
You enjoy doing open
I
houses.
love open houses. I, you know, try to do as many as I can. Not as many as I once did, but I'm trying to get back in that swing of things and getting. That's a good way to build my sphere, and just to you know get more clients. And so I think that that's important. Actually, I'm going to go to a call in the middle of the middle of December, and it's all about open houses and how somebody made a career out of them. So I'm going to really be on that one, and I want to look at that and see what they have to say. If I have any, I'm always learning. So, you know, I've only been in the business really strong for 4 years, and so I've got to do better myself too. You know,
That's great.
I love
Well,
that. Being a student all the time, you're always going to learn because what's the constant change?
yep.
And what I love about what you just said is that you're doing the fundamentals, and that creates the foundation for your business. And people forget that. They want to do these big things, big deals, and all that. But you know what? it's like baseball team, you still got to get base hits. And it's
That's
okay to
right.
get base hits, but if you get enough base hits, they're all going to go around the bases.
That's right.
So I love that everything you talked about really is about doing the fundamentals. If you do the fundamentals, then everything else will happen. And that's what you talked about, and just staying after it. I love that. That's if everyone did that, they would be successful, just like you are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Kathleen, for joining us this morning. And I'm grateful to Reuben, my partner, who has so much trust in yourself and speaks so highly about what you do to help folks in your community and just as an integral part of Judge Fite as well. And always that positive attitude that he mentioned. I mean, that just comes through loud and clear.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate it. And we wish you much success, not only today, this week, through the holidays, but right into 2026.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a great day, you guys.
You
Thank you.
too.